The story begins by introducing us to Jae-Kyung. She is an 18-years-old girl. Arriving to school, she meets her friend Kiryong. He thinks that Jae is very cute but a little silly. We can see later that she arrives with a leaf stuck on her head, and she asks Kiryong to take it off. He in a mocking but friendly way does so. They are obviously very close to each other. She always follows him everywhere in the class breaks, and even on their way home. And this is why his friend Terry asks Kiryong if he's dating Jae. But Kiryong makes it clear that they are just friends, even though he admits to himself that she is pretty. Though on occasions we see Jae being close to Kiryong, he doesn't really have feelings for her. After arriving at their destiny, both friends walk together through the neighborhood. Jae asks Kiryong if he's doing something later on, to which he responds that he's going to internet cafe to play some video games. Jae then asks if she can come with him, but he refuses, saying that is a boys' night. Jae seems a little upset about this, so she decides to go home. Kiryong thinks to himself if there would be someone as innocent as her. After a long gaming night, we can now see Terry and Kiryong leaving the internet cafe. Kiryong knows that it got late and that he has to get home, but he realizes he is in Jae's neighborhood. So he asks himself if he will be able to meet her by any chance. He quickly thinks that it would be weird seeing her this late at night. Kiryong starts walking on his way home, but then he sees a well-known silhouette to him. He realizes that's Jae and he greets her. But he finds her smoking with a tattoo on her arm. Jae gets nervous and tries to hide her ciggy, but Kiryong already saw her. She tries to convince Kiryong not to tell anyone about what he just saw. Kiryong, diving in his own thoughts, says to himself that he can't believe that an simple and girl would actually be a delinquent. Kiryong stays silent and just says, "I got to go." Kiryong is ignoring what Jae is trying to say. He tells himself that he have to get out of here. Right now he can't look her in the eyes, he will think about this tomorrow. But suddenly, with a threatening voice, we can hear Jae saying, "Hey, I'm talking to you, are you ignoring me?" And with a weak voice Kiryong replies, "No, I'm not." Jae grabs his collar, and with a threatening voice says, "Keep the secret." There is a long silence until Kiryong replies, saying that he will. Jae goes back to normal and says goodbye to him, as if nothing really happened. Before leaving, she reminds Kiryong not to tell anyone about what he saw. Seeing her true self, Kiryong felt a little excited. He is definitely a masochist. The next day at school, Kiryong was tense because of last night. But then he sees Jae tripping in a dumb way and drawing everyone's attention. He tries to help her, but the moment he touches her hand he feels excited. Jae is still lying on the floor. Kiryong apologizes and then the classes start. Both were sitting in the class and Kiryong asks her if she is alright, to which she replies that she has a headache. The teacher hears them and asks them to be quiet. Kiryong is thinking to himself that Jae is smiling on the outside, but deep down she is angry at him for letting go of her hand. He then thinks that what would happen if she drags him to a lonely place after school and beats him up. Jae asks him if he kept the secret, to which he replies that he did. She pats him on the head as if he were a dog, but suddenly Kiryong yells at her to stop, making the whole class stare at them. Kiryong realizes the mess he caused and thinks of a quick excuse, saying that he has greasy hair, and Jae tells him to wash it. The teacher looks at them with a very weird pose, saying that if they don't stay quiet he will kick them out of the classroom. Kiryong realizes that he feels different when Jae touches him, something that clearly didn't happen to him before. Jae shows him a funny drawing that she made and Kiryong starts laughing out loud. The whole classroom sees them talking and the teacher gets angry. Jae tells Kiryong to draw her next, but then they sees the teacher standing next to their table. Upset, he kicks them both out of the classroom. Jae takes advantage of the situation and goes to the bathroom. Kiryong follows her, but then he trips and falls. Jae is now the one lending a hand to him, but Kiryong doesn't want her help. In that moment Jae says with her dominant voice, "Kiryong, give me your hand." Kiryong gets up, and Jae asks him if he is alright. He replies saying that he's okay, and she goes straight to the bathroom. And that's the moment Kiryong realizes that he has feelings for her. Next we see Kiryong buying things in peace at a 7-Eleven, and then Jae appears out of nowhere, greeting him. And as always he gets nervous and asks her, "What are you doing in here?" She replies that she is on her way to the gym, but she is getting too close to him. Kiryong instinctively screams that she should get away from him. He thinks that he is going crazy, but then again he thinks that Jae is too cute. Kiryong plans to leave and tells Jae to have a good weekend. Jae stops him and tells him that she wants to go to his house. In the next panel we see a new character in Kiryong's house. It is his 17-year-old sister Yang Solji ordering some snacks for herself. Jae introduces herself to Kiryong's sister, and she reacts in a funny way saying that if his brother could bring a girl home, that means it's the end of the world. In the end, Kiryong's sister introduces herself Solji and leaves. Jae and Kiryong decide to watch a movie together, but then he realizes that Jae is in his house, and it's too late to tell her to leave. Jae says that she wants to watch a gory movie, but Kiryong replies that he doesn't like that type of movies. She then proposes him to watch a hentai, but he says no again. At this point they just decide to watch a romantic movie, but this one is specifically for adults. And of course a romantic movie for adults should have something else. You know what I mean. We can see Jae saying that the couple from the movie looks passionate, and suddenly Kiryong's sister appears out of nowhere. She remembered that she left her snacks there, but she stood up there surprised looking at her brother sitting next to a girl watching an adult movie. She runs to her father to tell him about the situation. Kiryong decides to quickly change the movie they are watching to avoid getting into more problems. The movie he put was so boring that Jae ended up falling asleep while leaning on Kiryong's shoulder, making a romantic atmosphere in a way. Minutes later the movie ends and Jae wakes up like nothing. She then says that it's late and she's gotta go. And Kiryong, as the saint he is, apologizes to her for putting on a boring movie. And Jae with a seductive voice mentions that she wasn't sleeping, leaving Kiryong blushing like crazy. Later on Jae's father asked her how was the movie, and she says that she doesn't really remember anything. Another day starts and Kiryong says goodbye to his family to go to school. But his family isn't even listening to him because they were watching the same movie Jae and Kiryong were watching last night. Yes, I'm talking about the boring one, not the adult one. That would be weird. The curious thing is watching the scene from the movie reminds Kiryong about how Jae was lying down on his shoulder. Kiryong blushes and his father asks him, "Why is your whole face red?" His sister snitches on him, telling their father that Kiryong is blushing because he was watching an adult movie with a girl in the house. His father seems to be upset at first, but as the good father that he is, he just replies by saying, "That's my son." Kiryong's sister gets angry, starts shouting while asking their father why is he not punishing him, but their father only says to her, "You should be getting on your way to school too." We can see Kiryong in his class, deep thinking about how a really cute girl like Jae is actually a thug. But this guy is so high that in the middle of class, he starts imagining perverted things about Jae. Jae looks at him in an innocent way, but he thinks that if Jae finds out that he's been fantasizing about her, she would surely despise him. Jae tells him that he's blushing, as if he were imagining some naughty things, a truth bomb. But Kiryong, as the big liar he is, just denies everything. But then Jae replies with a great quote, "A strong denial is a strong truth." Jae stops playing with him, and then she says she also likes to think naughty things when Kiryong is distracted. She was thinking about the passionate couple that appeared in the movie. Kiryong gets shy hearing this. Then she asks Kiryong, "What about you? What kind of fantasy did you have?" Kiryong gets nervous and tells her that's not true, he wasn't fantasizing about her. But before Kiryong could say anything, Jae tells him that he is a pervert. Kiryong blushes again and starts screaming. Jae starts laughing and tells him it was just a joke, and keeps playing with him till the end of the class, calling him a pervert. Later we can see a football match being played, and as we can see they stole the ball from one of the teams and nobody knows who was the goalie. When they all realize that Kiryong is the goalie, they all give him their support and trust. But Kiryong only exists to disappoint everybody. He couldn't catch the ball, and the worst part is that the ball entered slowly through the ground. In that moment everybody gets disappointed at him, and Kiryong feels ashamed. Jae sees this, and goes running directly where Kiryong is and asks him if he is alright, to which Kiryong nods. Jae helps Kiryong to get up, but he feels ashamed about this too. The PE teacher tells his students that the free time is over and they have to take an exam now. Kiryong doesn't usually care about this, but now he is feeling nervous when Jae is watching him, and for this reason he will try his best at the exam. Jae and Terry are the first ones to start. Jae manages to do 72 push-ups, while Terry did 415 and even has the audacity to say that it was too easy. Everybody praises him, saying that he is a monster. Kiryong only cares about what Jae thinks about Terry. She only mentions that was cool. It's Kiryong's turn along with another classmate. Everybody is laughing at Kiryong, but Jae tells everybody to shut their mouths. The exam starts. Kiryong is going for the 12th push-up, so Jae starts rooting for him. I don't really know how many he did, but more than 20 for sure. And in the end, Jae goes to him and congratulates Kiryong. We can see another classmate watching from the distance too. We start the day with Kiryong running in the hallway, but he hits another classmate by accident. This girl drops her phone and Kiryong apologizes to her while picking it up. But when he checks on the phone, he realizes that the girl was watching weird stuff and that she has a masochistic kink. She quickly takes her phone back, and Kiryong apologizes to her for seeing something private like that. Her face was red, so she runs away from the place, repeating to herself that she is a pervert. The next day, Kiryong was in class with Jae. She tells him a bad joke, but she didn't get any reaction from Kiryong, so she gets sad. At this moment, the blue-haired girl from yesterday appears. This girl introduces herself as Lee Seon. She says that she wants to talk with Kiryong about something, but he doesn't even know her nor even her name. Jae tells Kiryong that she is her classmate and he should know her name. Lee then says yesterday Kiryong saw a shameful side of her. They both look confused and Jae asks Kiryong for an explanation as if they were a couple. But before he could say something, Lee grabs him by his clothes and took him elsewhere, much to Jae's dismay. They get to the rooftop, and when things calm down a bit, Kiryong asks her, "What were you going to tell me?" Lee asks him if he finds her attractive, and Kiryong just stands there thinking, what does that have to do with anything? She replies that everyone that she knows sees her as a cute and innocent girl, and she would like to maintain that image. Kiryong says that seeing something like that is normal for them, but she replies by saying, "I'm a pervert and you found out yesterday." Kiryong gets confused and proceeds to tell her again that she is not a pervert, and that the only thing he has to do is to keep the secret. Lee doesn't believe him. She says Kiryong will reveal it to everybody, and because of that he should show her something private too, so they both can stay quiet. She asks for Kiryong's phone, but then we see a foot approaching them. At this moment Jae arrives, and she is shocked. She sees Kiryong and Lee attached and heard what Lee was asking Kiryong. She turns on Chad mode and pushes Lee. She falls on his back and it seems that she got hurt. Jae realizes and apologizes, saying it wasn't intentional. But Lee seems like she is feeling something else than pain. It hurts, but in a good way. Hearing this, Jae is shocked. She tells Kiryong that Lee is a bit weird, and Kiryong, while nodding, says that they should be elsewhere. They both think Lee is crazy. But Jae still feels worried about Lee's words. The days go by and Lee seems too attached to Kiryong, following him everywhere. Kiryong gets mad and shouts at her, and tells her to stop bothering him. Lee gets sad, but before things escalate, the real Chad appears. Terry tells them they are being too loud and they woke him up from his sleep. But Lee gets annoyed and tells Terry that he is a pig and to stop crying and go to sleep. This upsets Terry, and he picks up Lee and takes her elsewhere as if she were a potato sack. It seems that Terry is going to give Lee a dishonorable punishment. He begs for her life, saying that she don't want to be stained yet. Jae and Kiryong saw everything, but they decide to ignore it, saying that it's better to keep distance from these two lunatics. Jae feels nervous about everything that happened between Kiryong and Lee, and she asks if something else happened between them. Kiryong says that he only saw a weird picture on her cell phone and nothing else. He then asks her, "Why did you ask? Was she upset that he was with Lee for so much time?" Jae couldn't reply. She then leaves. While running away, she says, "It's not like this." Later we see that Lee escaped Terry's punishment. A new day begins and we see Kiryong is working out in the gym. He seems tired after doing so much exercise. Kiryong then realizes it's raining. He proceeds to call his sister to ask her if she can bring him an umbrella, but she asks him for some food in return. He says he's okay with it and ends his call. Kiryong seemed so focused on his phone until Jae appeared out of nowhere, scaring him. They talked a bit and Jae asks him if he brought an umbrella. He says that he forgot it, and Jae then offers him to share her umbrella until they get to Kiryong's house. Kiryong is thinking that walking under an umbrella is something only couples do, but suddenly he remembers that his sister was coming with an umbrella for him. So he calls her quickly and tells her it wasn't going to be necessary anymore. But she says she is about to arrive, so she will give him the umbrella anyway. In that moment, Kiryong ends the call and a car passes by, dampening his sister. Then they both starts their journey home. Kiryong realizes Jae is getting wet on her shoulder, and it seems she doesn't care about it. Kiryong tells her he is going to hold the umbrella so she doesn't get any wet. Jae gets nervous because of this. She loses her balance falling in the puddle. Kiryong asks her if she is alright, but Jae seems too wet and stunned to speak. Kiryong doesn't know what to do, so he apologizes to her. He, without knowing, is staring directly at her, so Jae teases him by calling him a pervert while laughing. Kiryong replies by saying that's not true. At home, Kiryong's sister is still waiting for her food. In next panel we see two friends chatting. One of them asks the other if any guy confessed love to her again, and she agreed, but she rejected him because he wasn't enough for her. We see Kiryong entering the scene, while on his run minding his own business as always. These girls see him and make fun of him. One of them tells the other that she will pay her 100,000 wons if she can make him confess to her in one day. Brown hair girl says it's a good reward. The next day we can see Jae talking with Kiryong, but then suddenly the brown-haired girl appears. Her name is Ha Jinwon, and she is 18 years old. She greets Kiryong, but he doesn't know who she is. She approaches Kiryong in a seductive way, telling him her name. Jae looks upset watching this. Jinwon keeps talking with Kiryong, but she thinks that it would be better to just ask him his number so she doesn't waste time. Jae gets weirded out, but Kiryong, as the virgin he is, he asks her what do she want his number for. Jinwon couldn't understand what just happened. She is not used to this type of situations, so she tells Kiryong that when a cute girl like her is asking for his number, he just have to give it. Jiwon gets upset at Kiryong because he doesn't think it is necessary to give her his number. Jae seems pleased at this. Kiryong got tired of Jinwon, so he just gives her his number in an uninterested way. He then goes with Jae to grab a coffee. Jae is happy. Jinwon is standing there confused, and thinks about how a man can resist her. She even thinks Kiryong only likes boys. Later at PE, Jiwon tries to talk again with Kiryong. She gives him some compliments, and tries to make him notice her. Kiryong only says thanks, and keeps minding his own business. Then Jiwon tries to seduce Kiryong, asking him to hold her legs while they are doing exercises. But Kiryong says that he already promised to work out with Terry, Sigma Kiryong. It seems Jiwon is somewhat afraid of our big guy. Jiwon feels disappointed in herself. Lee appears and offers to hold Jiwon's legs, saying her thighs look delicious. But Jinwon is not giving up. She then tries again to seduce Kiryong, or at least to talk with him, but he just answers in a serious and uninterested way, like if she's just another friend. She leaves in the end and meets with her friend in the school bathroom. Her friend laughed at her because she couldn't make a loser like Kiryong fall in love with her. They start debating what would be the reason Kiryong is not interested in her. We then see Jae entering the bathroom. She introduces herself and asks Jiwon if she is into Kiryong. They both answered they weren't interested in him. They were only doing this for a bet, explaining to Jae all the details about what they were about to do. But suddenly Jae tells them it's not nice to be bothering Kiryong like that. Jiwon apologizes, but her friend starts laughing and keep making fun of Jae and Kiryong. Jae brings up her Chad side and asks them, "What are you two talking about?" By seeing Jae like this, both girls look a little scared, but the other girl didn't have a better idea than to confront Jae. Jae is not willing to keep talking with them, as it seems they will not regret anything. As Jae is leaving, black hair girl tries to hit her from behind, but Jae reacts and throws her to the floor with strength. The girl screams in pain, and Jae in a mocking way asks her if she got hurt. Jae warns them one last time and leaves. Both girls are stunned, but the black hair girls couldn't stop barking. But Jae just ignores her, hitting again on her ego. Outside of the bathroom, Jae starts thinking that she might have exaggerated a bit, as it was just a joke. Out of nowhere, Kiryong appears, saying that he was looking for her. Jae asks him why was he looking for her. Kiryong says that because she wasn't by her side. Even though Jae gets excited hearing this, it doesn't last, as Kiryong asks her where is Jiwon. Hearing Jiwon name, Jae ends up being upset and calls him an idiot. She bites him in a cute way and leaves, saying that she hates Kiryong as she leaves. The next day, Kiryong meets Jiwon and greets her in a casual way, but Jiwon reacts in a bad way, telling him not to be that confident just because she talked to him. Jiwon becomes aware of Jae's presence and decides to leave. The chapter ends with Jae going with Kiryong elsewhere. By the way, Lee was in the bathroom when the fight happened, enjoying others' pain, a true masochist. A new day begins, and Jae asks the dad if she looks pretty. The father replies in the affirmative. He asks her if she was going to class yet. She said yes, In that case, he proceeds to ask her if she had eaten breakfast. She replies yes, but she tells him that the milk tastes gross. The father quickly tells her that the milk was expired and had been in the refrigerator for more than 10 months, much to Jae's annoyance. We start the day from Kiryong's perspective. His day starts on his way to school, and he runs into Jae. He decides to give her a little scare since she always does the same thing to him. But she doesn't take it happily as she usually does. He tries to keep teasing her, but to no avail. In fact, she tells him that she has some urgent things to do, and starts going ahead. Kiryong says goodbye to her, then Terry enters the scene, and Kiryong asks him if maybe he knows why a person who smiles a lot every day suddenly stops smiling. And Terry replies, I guess she wants to go to the bathroom. Kiryong doesn't take him seriously. Terry rushes so he won't be late for school. In class, the two are silent, and he thinks she is still upset about the other day. Class ends, and Jae rushes to leave quickly, but Kiryong stops her to go to lunch. She tells him she wants to be alone, and leaves. That's when Kiryong wants to find what happened to Jae, decides ask someone else. He invites Jinwon, and she responds as usual by insulting him, and she tells him that they are not close. But he tells her that he needs some advice, and she tells him that she will only accept if he calls her my princess Jiwon. He accepts and calls her my queen, and after that, instead of helping him, she just ends up making fun of him. Jae enters the classroom. Jiwon sees her and runs away. He takes the opportunity to talk to her, and invites her to lunch, but she complains of pain and leaves. He ends up concluding that she hates him. Later we get into a flashback. We see the first time Jae and Kiryong saw each other. It was a very ordinary morning in his second year. Jae greets him with a big smile on her face. They got along very well from the beginning, and they even went to the bathroom together. She was always very attached to him, but he always thought she was that way. Even when her secret was revealed, he always felt comfortable around her. Now, the question is, why is she ignoring him? Kiryong asks Terry for help, and then asks his partner Lee for help. They claim that she may have eaten something bad and just wanted to go to bathroom, but he still doesn't believe it. She asks why he is so interested in Jae's behavior. Lee asks Kiryong, do you like Jae? Do you want to do it with her? He gets intensely annoyed and embarrassed by the questions. He tells them that they are not helping at all and retreats. But as he is walking, he wonders if he really likes her. He thinks about when Jae is in seductress mode. He is turned on by something about her. Suddenly Jae comes out from behind him and scares him, as usual. She asks him if he is okay, as she met Lee and Terry, and they told her that Kiryong had something to tell her. Then he asks her if she doesn't like him anymore, because she has been ignoring him too much these days. Jae gets worried because she doesn't want Kiryong to know that she had expired milk this morning, so she tells him that it was that day. Kiryong tells her that he thought she might have started to hate him, but now he is relieved that it wasn't like that. Hearing this, Jae blushes. She pats Kiryong's head and replies seductively that he is very cute, making Kiryong blush. Jae leaves, and we see Kiryong touching his chest because his heart was beating very fast. He watches Jae leave and thinks, do I really like Jae-Kyung? Later we see that half an hour ago, Jae was feeling better after taking medicine in the infirmary. Later, Kiryong was back at home after his walk with Minsik. His father wonders what happened to the guy that wouldn't leave his home these past few days, and while he was talking with his father, suddenly, his sister Solji ran out of her room with peace, and tries to tackle her brother. She then wonders why he wouldn't fall, and seeing them argue, his father just laughs. He then remembers how close his children have been since they were small. He used to worry that Solji wouldn't be able to make friends, but then he felt better when he saw Kiryong taking care of her. Kiryong wonders if she had been drinking because she smells of alcohol, but his father tells him she got drunk after drinking Sprite. Solji insists her brother to drink as well, but he just tells her to go back to sleep. His dad then tells him to come have a drink with him and talk about his girlfriend. Kiryong tells him he doesn't have one, but well, Solji remembers him bringing a girl home to watch a movie with him last time, so wasn't she his girlfriend? Well, Kiryong just tells her to shut up. Solji then freaks out because if she wasn't even his girlfriend, why were the two of them already watching porn together?
What did he say?
His father then wonders maybe the girl might be interested in Kiryong, but he denies it. Then maybe Kiryong is the one interested in her? Suddenly, he remembers Mommy Jae, but then he denies having an interest in her. His father tells him to take a drink and open up about his problems, because Dad knows how women feel.
What do you mean by that?
His father then asks him if his heart skips a beat when he thinks of her. Well, yes, or maybe so he believes. Then whatever she does to Kiryong bothers him? Well, kinda, cause something like that recently happened again. His father then wondered if he had ever imagined himself kissing her? Kiryong freaks out denying it, but then he quiets down. His father realized he did imagine it. So now he's 100% sure that Kiryong likes her. His father then asks him when did he start to like her? Well, the truth is Kiryong wasn't sure. He doesn't know for how long he has liked her. But suddenly he started talking gibberish. It looks like he was drunk. His dad then got a call from his mother, so they decided to stop here. Kiryong, who started to feel dizzy, wonders if it was true that he liked Jae-Kyung. Is this how falling in love feels like? While his dad was talking on phone, he sat there realized that he was missing Jae-Kyung. Then suddenly he got up. His father wonders where was he going? Well, he wants to go see her. As he leaves the house, the baffled father wonders, is he sick? Somewhere outside, Kiryong was searching for Jae-Kyung's house. While walking, he wonders how she will react if he visits her all of the sudden. Well, she probably won't hate him. And just imagining it made her seem cute. Jaewon fell on the floor, but Kiryong wonders who she is. He then told her to look forward when she walks, cause he doesn't have time to deal with bitches like these. He just wants to see his main piece Jae-Kyung.
You're a victim!
In her home, Jae was lying on her sofa, laughing while looking at her mobile. Suddenly she gets a text from Kiryong. Excitedly she wonders what did it say. But as she looks at it, she was shocked, cause it was a text from Kiryong telling her to come out, cause daddy was in front of her house. Shocked Jae wonders how could he be at her house, and why was he here? But when she opens her front door, she met Kiryong, who was here to make her call him daddy. But looking at him, Jae could only wonder. Jae is baffled by Kiryong and asks what he was doing here. He introduces himself as the sexy boy young Kiryong. She doesn't recognize him but tells him to come in nonetheless. Inside she asks him if he wants to watch TV for a while. Well, he wanted to drink some water. She nervously fills a cup in the kitchen, and as she was about to take it, fate does its work and she trips and was about to fall. Kiryong, who was in his drunk Chad phase, quickly gets up and saves her. Daddy then asks her, "Are you okay?"
God damn.
Jae starts to get more anxious. She realized that she had already spilled all the water, so she went to get some more. But Kiryong stops her and tells her to come.
Daddy, chill.
She nervously gets closer, wondering what was going on, but Kiryong was just looking at her quietly. Jae then wonders if he was drunk because she could smell a bit of alcohol on him. And Kiryong was deep in his thoughts, because looking at Jae-Kyung he wondered was she always this beautiful? And why didn't he know it till now? Could this be a dream? But by then he was already holding Jae, wondering what he should do now. He wanted to hug her, but if he did it suddenly, maybe she wouldn't like it. But by then his body was moving on its own. He wonders should he be doing this? Suddenly, Jae calls out his name. She then anxiously tells him, "It hurts." After realizing what he had done, Kiryong tries to apologize. He tells her that he was drunk and didn't know what he was doing. But Jae only has one question. Why did he come to her house? Kiryong wonders why he did that, and then he remembers how he felt at home and tells her. He was there because he was thinking about her. He doesn't know why, but while drinking he remembered her so he came to see her. While Kiryong was apologizing for coming here without warning, he started to feel dizzy and slowly his eyesight started to get blurry. And when he was about to tell her something, he just passed out leaning on her badonkers. Jae was shocked and couldn't comprehend what to do. At Kiryong's home, Solji wonders if her father was finally done talking with mom because her brother wasn't home yet. Well then, her dad tells her to go look for him. But then he remembers how shy she has been since she was small, so he decides to look for Kiryong himself. But outside their door, Jae was there carrying Kiryong on her back. They were a bit shocked, wondering what she did to his son. She quickly introduces herself and tells them how Kiryong fell asleep in her house. While Solji carries him to his room, Kiryong's father apologizes for causing her trouble. But Jae too apologizes to them, and before Kiryong's father can say anything, she quickly decides to leave. His father then realized that Jae-Kyung was probably the girl that Kiryong likes. But what was she apologizing for? Jae, who was running home, remembers how it was so sudden, but when she realized Kiryong was asleep, and in his drunk state, Kiryong mutters her name and hugs Jae, pulling her closer. She was flushed red. Slowly she started to freak out, but then she too hugs him back. And remembering this, she wonders how she will face Kiryong tomorrow. Next day at school, the baldy homeroom teacher was doing his stands. Kiryong and Jae, on the other hand, were awkwardly sitting in their seats. He then calls Jae and asks about yesterday. He remembers going to her house, but after that he doesn't remember anything. So if he did anything to her, it was probably because he was drunk. Jae was taken aback. She asks him if he really doesn't remember what happened. Well, his memory was a blur. But after hearing that, slowly Jae got furious, wondering if he really didn't remember anything after doing that. Frustrated, she got up, calling him an idiot. And while they were arguing, others didn't pay attention, because at this point it was pretty normal to happen. Jaewon, on the other hand, was lost in some other thought. While Jaewon was going to her next class, someone calls her and tries to riz her up. He asks if she wants to go to karaoke with him after school. Hearing this, she wonders if he happens to like her. Well, he's just simply trying to get closer to her, and while he was yapping about it, she simply tells him to f off because he is ugly.
Emotional damage!
Bro got rejected, but he didn't stop simping for her. As for Jaewon, it was the 5th time today that she has been asked to go out. The others do appreciate her appearance, and some even want to get mistreated by her. But she only accepts the date according to their appearance, like the handsome guy she encountered yesterday. She was about to insult him after they bumped into each other, as she wondered who he was. His nonchalant attitude towards her, and a look from him was enough to make her call him daddy. While she wonders how someone could be that shameless, because he just left after pushing her onto the floor. But this rudeness was what she wanted in a man.
Naughty, naughty.
Jaewon laments about not asking for his number. Maybe they would have gone out by now already. While she wonders about getting information about him from the girl that knows everyone. Kiryong calls her asking if she was going to the cafeteria. Seeing his face, Jaewon wonders who he was. Well, he just wanted to know where she was going. Jaewon tells him to get out the way cause she's going for a smoke. He wonders, does she really smoke? Well, she might look too pretty to seem like a smoker, but that's reality. This reminded him of seeing Mommy Jae smoke for the first time, but then he invites her to come to cafeteria. But she wonders, shouldn't he stick with Jae-Kyung? Well, bro was so dumb that he didn't know why Jae was mad with him. He then wonders if Jaewon would like to buy bread with him, but she refused, calling him an idiot. If he really wants her to accompany him, then he would have to buy something for her too. If not, then she will be leaving. Outside, Jaewon's friend wonders if the loser was still talking to her. Well, she laments about Kiryong asking her to accompany him to cafeteria. Sung then wonders if it means he likes her like the others do. Then surely, she can still get the 100,000 won from the bet they made. But Jaewon didn't want him to talk with him since he's close with Jae-Kyung, and she gets nervous for no reason. Sung too then remembers how she got her ass handed to her last time they met, but still this wasn't over it. Some people just never learn. Leaving that aside, Jaewon tells her about the handsome guy she met. Sung gets curious about his look. She tells her about his slightly disheveled brown hair, a thin body measured at 1.75 meters. Damn, she is down bad. Sung, on the other hand, could only think of Yang Kiryong with that description. Well, they do look a bit similar, and Sung tells her to go out with Kiryong, imagining him as the handsome guy. Later it soon got late, so they decided to leave, and then the fate repeated itself. Jaewon again fell on the floor wide open. As she was about to curse the guy, she looks up and realized it was Kiryong, who kind of started to look similar to that handsome guy. Looking at him, she gets flushed and could only wonder, is it you?